Ariella Rosenthal, who's still with us on the broadcast. Ma'am, we just heard that joint statement being signed. We saw the agreements being signed, and both the prime ministers talk about this wonderful visit that both of them had, and obviously both the countries are in fact talking about enhancement of that defense, that decade-old defense economic partnership that they have. But they are also, ma'am, if we saw, there were so many, comments that were made in lighter vein as well that showed the bonhomie, that showed the friendship between both the prime ministers. And obviously, something that our Prime Minister concluded with, that terror is something that both the countries will never bow down to.
Well, what we've just seen here now is, of course, the implementation of the bond, the strong bond that Israel and India have, and the powerful alliance that these two global leaders share. Not only on the personal level, but now if I look at me as being a representative of a municipality of Ashdod, which is the 5th largest city in Israel, and we would love to actually have a deeper cooperation with cities in India. We are a very strategic city. We have the biggest port of Israel. We have defense systems here, and plants, electricity, and refineries, and agriculture, and maritime, and lots of hubs, and the most open, advanced hospital at Ashdod. So we have a lot of possibilities to actually, at the end, be the ones to implement the very big strategic vision of both these leaders. So I'm very much looking forward to be in touch with the people and the cities in India and be part of this wonderful and new era of cooperation between both countries.
Absolutely. I would in fact now like to rope in Mr. Shekhar Vision, who's been waiting with us since the past 45 minutes. Thank you so much for waiting. We just had the statements being completed. We are looking at a special strategic partnership, sir, between both the nations. We are looking at so many agreements, so many MoUs in the field of agriculture, AI, quantum, critical minerals. This is something that both the countries obviously are looking forward to, but they are also looking to strengthen their decade-old defense partnership. That is not far behind. How are you? What are your biggest, takeaways from this visit, sir?
Shivani, thank you for having me over. I was watching the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, Prime Minister Modi's speech yesterday, and it's such a passionate, such a powerful speech, such a collaborative speech, and there was in it for both Israel as well as for India. And there are a lot of commonalities between India and Israel, in terms of defense capabilities, in terms of startup, in terms of artificial intelligence. If you're talking about agriculture, there's so many things which we can really combine and collaborate on and become a real power. There is also gauged from the body language in the parliament, the kind of rapport which the Prime Minister of Israel has, as well as Prime Minister Modi has. They treat each other like brothers, and it shows in the way they talk, in the way they interact, in the way they hug each other. Now, having said that, this move by India in terms of going, in terms of the visit by Prime Minister Modi is so critical at this point of time, because we're living in a world which is so fractured. And with Modi coming in and trying to show that India can play a very, very, very important, a very singular role in world peace, and also ensuring that there is one common thing between Israel and India, which is in combating terrorism. As in, there is no two ways about it. The way they spoke about it, the way they all agree about it, and the kind of respect and, camaraderie they share, it augurs well for the future. And Israel has always been our fair weather friend. Israel has always been somebody who has always, defended us, taken care of us during our times of need. And we're just taking to the next level in terms of the treaties signed, in terms of the things which you spoke about, in terms of defense, agriculture, startup, which is what both Israel as well as India is bullish about. Agriculture is something which Israel has always been bullish about and has done so well. and in terms of technology, in terms of defense. So these are all the pillars with which India and Israel will operate, and it's so nice, so symbolic for Prime Minister Modi to address the Parliament yesterday, all of 30 minutes, and those 30 minutes I think were very interesting because I could see that everybody, after the speech got over, they were clapping for him for at least 2 to 3 minutes, and after that, everybody was, after Prime Minister Modi for selfies. He is arguably one of the most enigmatic politicians in the world, and along with the PM of Israel, who's got such a deep and such a lovely voice, I think it really works well. This is a partnership for the ages. This is a partnership for the future. This is a partnership which is very important, looking at the way the world is right now, where everybody is fending for themselves. So it's nice to see two countries getting in together because we also have a common thing in terms of a civilization. Our civilizations are quite old, which both the Prime Ministers spoke about yesterday, and also the fact that we have so much common ties between each other. There's such a huge, Indian diaspora in Israel. We also have got a huge Israel diaspora in India too. So there are so many things to look forward to. There are so many things to look at, and it's nice to see this. It's nice to see this partnership which they have with each other. It's nice to see this camaraderie, and it's nice to see that both India and Israel are really growing together. The world's largest democracy in the world, with the country which has the best security measures in place. So I think it augurs very, very well.
Absolutely, sir. And in fact, you mentioned this speech that was made by our Prime Minister yesterday at the Knesset. Benjamin Netanyahu, starting off his speech, he also mentioned that there was not a single dry eye in Israel after Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, finished his address to the Israeli parliament. And that goes on to show, because, there have been talks about how India is doing this balancing act. They are trying to, please and appease the Middle Eastern countries where they have ties with as well, and they are also looking at Israel. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been nothing short of, stating that India will stand with Israel. He condemned in no uncertain terms that October 7 attacks as well, and today as well, we saw him raise that, Gaza peace plan at a time when we are talking about agreements. He did again mention that Gaza peace plan is in fact necessary because peace in the world is something that India is looking forward to in this fractured world.
Absolutely. Shivani, like you mentioned, in this fractured world, in this world which is so fragmented and everybody's moving apart, it's very important for us to talk about kindness, us to talk about peace, and also talk about the fact that terrorism is something which you can have zero tolerance to. I think Israel has been very, very particular about it. India is also very particular about it. And it's nice to see two giants in the world of politics getting together and, speaking the heart out and, talking about things which really matter. There was a lot of passion. There was a lot of emotion at play. And I think both the communities, are quite emotional and they understand each other well, which is very good for the future because we really need partnerships like this. We really need collaborations like this. We really need synergies like this of two civilizations coming together. And it's very good in a world which is, so distinct from each other, where everybody's at war with each other. It's nice to see two countries coming in together.
Absolutely. In fact, let me also introduce another guest who's joining us on the broadcast now, Major General Brajesh Kumar, who is the former DG Military Infrastructure, Senior Defense Expert. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Newsx and taking out your time. We appreciate it. Sir, if I can start off with the key takeaways from this speech we just heard from both the Prime Ministers. We have, in fact, managed to sign almost 16 agreements. We are looking at 11 more announcements, and this totals to around 27 key bilateral outcomes from a 2-day visit.
Yes, Shivani, firstly, thank you for having me over on your show. These 27 deals are fine, they're very good, substantive as well. But more importantly, it is the strategic fit between India and Israel that we see, that augurs very well for our two relationship for long time to come. Individuals, optics, all this adds to the environment, and so does the historical or civilizational ties, which all have been there. The personal chemistry as well between the two leaders augurs pretty well. But having said that, let's get back to the basics first. Our ties have been very, very important. In fact, in the development of Mumbai as a big city, the opium trade and the Baghdadi Jews had played a very, very dominant role. Sassoon and all that we all have heard of, whether it is Sassoon Hospital in Pune or Sassoon Docks in Mumbai, and there were maybe many others as well. General Jacob was the Chief of Staff Eastern Army during 1971 war. And he was, of course, a Jew and a bachelor who contributed immensely to the fall of Dhaka. They are some of the recent examples to tell our viewers that there is some kind of a connection which has been existing between us. Let's see a little more. The landmass between Israel on the west and India on the east, if we see it, is a very complicated canvas. The only two democracies are India and Israel. India has 17-18% Muslim population. Israelis have about 20%. And these populists vote freely and fairly. It doesn't happen anywhere between these two regions. Secondly, this place is a reservoir of world energy. The entire Middle East, whether the Shia energy or the Sunni energy or whatever you might call, it has become important. Thirdly, there are 3 nuclear power countries in this area. India, Pakistan announced and Israeli unannounced. So look at it, what we have today. So this becomes very important. Threat to Israel is from Muslim fundamentalism, so as to be with us. And our relationship, we got independence in 1947, Israel followed suit, or creation was 1948 or something. And we've had a love-hate relationship since then. They've been ready to help us out during 62 and 65 war. But we did not accept it for a variety of reasons, good, bad, ugly, just forget about it. Started opening up after 1991 or 92 when we had a unipolar world. And there has actually been no looking back per se. We also have a large number of Israeli tourists, if you find them, in Himachal Pradesh and Ladakh, cycling up or motorcycling up the slopes of Khardungla and Bothab. So people contact has been there as well. Science, technology and defense. But coming to substantive issue. During the Kargil operation, we depended upon them, our Air Force depended upon them to shoot down targets which we couldn't actually do. So the laser designators came from them. Thereafter, the relationship has been steady. We've been adding values. And when I say it's a strategic fit, it means we complement the Israelis and Israelis complement us in all walks of life. Security is one, science technology is another, armament is another, agriculture is another, artificial intelligence is another, critical minerals is another. So it's a perfect little fit which I see it happening. So it is continue to grow and these visits try and bind us together. So the speech which the Prime Minister gave to the Knesset was a combination of all these factors put together. It's a very healthy one. And they also talked about how do we grow ahead. When we look at Israel, it's a small country. Population less than 1 crore. And what they have achieved in last about 70-75 years has been wonderful. Desert area, third-rate area given to them. But the land, they have used it. They had to survive. So science, technology, defense, armament, shield, they've all developed very well. But they are small. How do they grow? They conceive things. They design things. They prototype. And we are a huge nation. We can use these ideas to probably, fructify them for a larger stage in the world. We have land, we have trained people. So these ideas, in whatever field they are, science, technology, defense, irrigation, agriculture, we can upscale it, we can replicate it, we can mass produce it. So there is a fit which is happening because of these as well. So in whatever field you look at it, there is a synergy, there is usefulness for both the partners. And that brings us closer. Even when they had a war, and the recent wars, which firstly the Israelis faced on the 7th October, I think 2023, which lasts for a couple of years, after a long period of stability since 1974. And then we had recent skirmish in last year in Operation Sindhu. We found that there are areas which we need to sort of consider from the aspect of security. Whether it is intelligence sharing, or critical technologies, or shields, or radars, or drones, or anti-drones, or iron shoulder, whatever you may call it. So there are a whole lot of possibilities. Signifying one or two may not be good enough. So we find these 27 agreements which are likely to be signed, or if we moving ahead, August well, but this is just the beginning, and plenty can be done. And hopefully, we are placed together in large number of ways to take it forward. Shivani?
Absolutely, sir. In fact, let me also introduce Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, who's a former diplomat who's joined us on the broadcast to discuss this further as well. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to Newsx. We appreciate your time. A very good evening to you. So, obviously, we just saw the statements by both the Prime Ministers. We are looking at, details are trickling in. We are looking at agreements in quantum, in AI. We are looking at critical minerals. We are looking at agricultural growth, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about how Israeli technology will be available in every village in the country. He is looking at developing, instead of centers of excellence, villages of excellence in the agriculture field. He's also spoken about how our partnership is grounded in the defense sector, and they are looking forward to enhancing it. So these are the basics that are in fact coming to the fore. What, as per your observations, are the key strategic areas that we should be looking at?
Good evening, Shivani. You have very rightly summarized some of the very important areas. Let me begin with, first of all, the people-to-people cooperation between the two countries. There's some sort of similarity between Israeli mentality and Indian mentality. You also find both of them are good in banking and diamond industry, somehow or the other. And a large number of Israeli tourists come to India. I see them in Pushkar, large number of them come. Some of them go to mountain areas to do some, hiking and what you call tourism in the hills. So that is one, the connecting people to people. It is one area where people feel for each other. They connect very well. Like, with the other countries, it's not so easy to connect, but with Israel, we connect very well. Second point is that in the ocean of what you call authoritarian regimes, Israel is one democracy. And similarly, India is, of course, a much larger democracy, but despite so many hurdles, India has been the most successful democracy in the world in the last 70 years. So that also connects our two countries very well. We are able to freely exercise the will of the people. The governments are elected by the free will, as against the dictatorial tendencies in so many countries in the region. The third is that ever since we established diplomatic relations in 1992, there has been a steady growth in our relationship. You see, there was a reference by Brajesh Kumarji to Kargil War. I remember that time the locations and the coordinates given by the Israelis were extremely helpful for us to mount an attack on the enemy forces and defeat them absolutely with total might. So that really helped us. But in addition to that, the areas which have come up for bilateral cooperation, they started with agriculture, because the barren land in Israel, the water scarcity, so the drip irrigation, then how to huge, the barren land for agricultural products and how to diversify agriculture was one area where we worked together very closely and we are still working. Then, of course, came the defense production and defense collaboration. Now, in this area, we have been able to get a lot of help from Israeli because Israelis are fighting with enemies all around them, and therefore, with a small territory, they have to develop new technologies to actually encounter the larger people who are attacking them from here and there. So the defense technology, particularly in the area of Iron Dome, iron beam, which is very essential for us to protect our smaller targets and also at very reasonable cost. And the movement of these domes are easier compared to S400, which is a heavier equipment and which requires a lot of energy and time to move from one place to another, and that is meant for the long range missiles, while this is meant for drones and short range missiles. So these are two complementary systems which we need, and I think the Iron Dome and Iron Beam is the one which we need now. Then the drone technology. In drone technology, Israel is ahead of us, and we can actually do some collaboration. We can learn from them and do mass production of drones in India. DRDO is already working in this direction. Some private sector companies in India are also working, and they want to collaborate. Then comes some of the missile technologies. Integration of AI in missile technologies has become very imperative now. The missiles should be able to cruise on their own, and if necessary, they deviate from the path which was decided earlier. They sense the objects on the way and they guide themselves through AI. I think that has become very important. Israel is very good in them, and we would be able to take advantage. Now, you also saw some of the jamming technologies of Israel. They have been able to jam. They also, the pagers were completely infested with some sort of devices. You remember in Lebanon. So that kind of devices, this kind of technology is also needed in India. We need the jamming of electronic devices of the enemies so that we are able to penetrate their defenses. So that is another area where we can do very well. Then, of course, the intelligence sharing and sharing of satellite imageries. These are two areas where we have been already collaborating, but I think greater collaboration is needed in both these areas. So, intelligence, as you know, Israel is known for its effectiveness of its intelligence system, and we can learn a lot from them. And so, though we have a lot of satellites now launched by us in the space, but still the precision in some of the satellites is not as good as that of Israel. So I think we can coordinate with each other. Now we have also improved considerably. We saw that in Operation Sindoor that our satellite imagery was absolutely perfect, but there is scope for further improvement. So these are the areas where we can collaborate. In addition, I would like to mention that India is one country which has worked for the peace and stability in the entire Middle East. We have close cooperation with all the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. We have close cooperation with the Arab world. In fact, the Arab foreign ministers met in Delhi a few weeks ago. The GCC, we have a large number of Indians settled there. Almost 2 crore Indians are living there, and they are making big remittances to India. Then, in addition, we have over $30 billion of trade with GCC countries. I think we have very big stakes. IMEC, the path to Europe is another area on which government of India is working through these countries. So this is an area of very vital and strategic interest for us, economic interest and strategic both. And we would like stability in the region to prevail. We would not like the governments to be destabilized in one pretext or another. So that is what I was hearing Prime Minister's address to the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel, where he said that we want stability and peace in the entire region. So I think that is also one of the objectives that We have good relations with all these countries, and we are able to talk to them on one-to-one basis, explaining them the importance of diplomacy and dialogue, so that without war, without any conflict, we can reach settlement on vital issues. The security of Israel is also in our interest, because there are threat to the very existence of Israel. As you know, some countries are giving that kind of threat. So that is very, very important, and we would like to collaborate with Israel on their security, and they would like to collaborate with us. The last point which I would like to mention is terrorism. It is not the last, it is the actually very, very important point, because Israel is facing the same, terrorist organizations like Hamas, Houthi, and Hezbollah. They are supported partially by Iran and funded by Iran. And we are facing, Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Toiba, funded and trained by Pakistanis. So we have similar kind of situation on this issue, and I think we can share our experiences, we can share our weapon system, we can share our defense technology, we can share our intelligence on these issues. That is very, very vital, because no country can tolerate terrorism in modern era, and therefore I would like to say that this is very, very vital area for our collaboration between the two countries. So on the whole, I would like to conclude by saying that Israel has conferred the highest civilian award on Prime Minister. This is the 30th award which has been conferred on the PM from different countries. And this shows the goodwill, the intention, and the depth of our relations. And this visit will further elaborate, further, add to the height and depth both of our relations between the two countries. And with these words, I would like to,
Right.
hand it over to you, Shivani.
Absolutely, Ambassador. In fact, let me also rope in Ariella Rosenthal, who's still with us on this broadcast. Ma'am, one of the key agreements that the Prime Ministers spoke about is the use of UPI in Israel. I believe in India, we use a UPI for immediate payments, and this is a system that we have been in fact using for a very long time, and we've been very proud of how we have gone digital with transactions. When we're looking at Israel, how do the people of Israel actually view this UPI tech that we are looking to collaborate with Israel now?
Well, I'm sure that the UPI will assist us in, if I look in the local authorities throughout Israel, along with the ministry departments, and we will need, of course, the assistance, along with, I think, maybe in the near future, along with the technology and the ability of Israel and India together, they will forthcome major projects that will assist both countries to utilize this new technology and have more personal people-to-people and commerce and business cooperation with this technology.
Right. And ma'am, also when we're looking at these areas, we have obviously been talking about agriculture being something that both the countries have been cooperating on since a very long time. But now we're looking at India establishing villages of excellence, where technology from Israel will help Indian farmers over here as well.
Well, we are a startup nation, and agriculture and digitalization is one of the main anchors of our startup and technology. So I'm sure that, like Israel has assisted numerous countries around the world with technology and high tech and different ways of projects, we too will work together side by side, and Israel will assist India and the new villages in a more improving of agriculture and water, something that is such an essential and necessary kind of need for all. So for dignity and for humanity for all. So this MOU that has been signed up today and the people to people and the willingness of both leaders and the people of Israel in every aspect. If you see in the ministries, in the departments, if I speak to the people in the city of Ashdod and around, we foresee these MoUs as a very, very important aspect for deepening the ties between both our countries and nations.
Absolutely. In fact, let me just go across to Major General Rajesh Kumar, who is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, defense is something that the ambassador also spoke about, and this is something that everyone had been eyeing. We had been eyeing the Iron Dome and the Iron Beam systems, and obviously the details of if we are going forward with that deal will come out in a few hours. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted that defense has always been something that both the countries have agreed on, and they are looking to strengthen that partnership through technology. They are looking to they are looking forward to joint researches in this sector. They are looking forward to joint production and also the transfer of technology. So how are you in fact looking at the defense cooperation going further between both the nations?
Shivani, in the strategic partnership, defense comes very high in the order of priority. And India, we have been traditionally dependent on to Soviet era equipment, armaments, and what have you. We are predominantly there. Now, of course, our dependence is reducing, and rightly the government of India policy of Atmanirbhar Bharat to A, make things ourselves as much as feasible, and B, diversify our defense equipment. So it augurs pretty well and it fits into the scheme of things. However, having said that, defense technology have a long gestation period and require deep pockets. We need to have that kind of a little association on a long-term basis. Given the environment today, given the thrust given by the present government on this score, and the relationship that we have with Israel, so whatever we decide in the fields of high technology area should actually fructify. I'm pretty hopeful and pretty positive and upbeat on this particular thing, because we have deficiency and we've seen how technology becomes important in the present day warfare. In fact, Russia-Ukraine war, thereafter the war in Israel versus Iran has shaped or reshaped the entire canvas of the battlefield. It's so different now. Use of drones of all varieties, use of standoff equipment, use of armament from a standoff distance. In Sindhu, we fired most of our stuff from within our territory, not transgressing into the Pakistan territory, still achieving the results. Need to have a very, very strong anti-missile defense like the Israelis have. These are the areas we need to progress. It will take a little time, but a wonderful beginning has been made and it augurs pretty well for us. One area where I find the Israelis are far ahead in globally is the intelligence mechanism or the intelligence agency, the Mossad. The old timers would recall what happened after the Olympics in Germany when the Israeli athletes were captured and killed by the insurgents, or at the Entebbe, where how the Israelis got their hostages back through a plane, or more recently, the example which Ambassador was giving, the leadership of Hezbollah being killed by pager bomb. And these, if you analyze it, they had planned this operation for good about 12 to 15 months. Killing of IRGC generalship in Iran, in Syria, in the very, very secure places of a government guest room. Amazing. Similarly, neutralizing the scientists, you might call it unethical, of the Iranian scientists involved in nuclear research or enrichment of uranium. They were obliterated. So these are the kind of things we need to acquire. It's not only the equipment, it is the skills, it is the attitude, more important, and the training and the seriousness. So that is what comes into it. Why the Prime Minister can have a large number of deals, all makes sense. But it's up to us, the entire Indians of 140 odd crore, to make things happen. And there I find is a solid weak thing. So it's not only very nice, no, it's a good thing which is happening at the top. The entire middle portion, the bottom portion, has to work together to get India into the 21st century, 2047, what you're talking about, or Atmanirbhar Bharat, or whatever. So another aspect is the employment of the women folk. In Israel, every citizen is a soldier. No distinction between men and women. No distinction between the working hours and ethos. They are as disciplined, as committed as anybody else for that matter. We got to probably do a lot of catching up in this field as well. So the point I am trying to make is, it's a very good thing that is happening in the defense field in all the sectors, frontier sectors of technology. We've been very good at innovating as well. We might have ships, the Russian ships with French equipment and the Israeli electronic stuff, whether it's the anti-submarine or anti-aircraft, whatever. So those we have been good at it because we had no choices. Now we are looking to, we are upgrading ourselves, we are taking manufacturing of these missiles, the submarines, the aircraft. So I suppose we'll be much better to fit in these things ab initio. So we are excited for the kind of a thing which is happening. It was very far ahead, and future Indians, future citizens of our country will have more secure places, more secure India to live well, to add value as far as economy is concerned, and be more secure. But to reach that, a lot of work has to do by all stakeholders, entire population per se, government, non-government, private, men, women, Gen Z, and whatever we call it. So discussion is fine, but I don't know how do we shape this attitude.
Absolutely.
That's my worry as a little elderly guy who are a little more, different in their thought process. Thank you, Shivani.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, when we talk about security, something that has featured in these talks in the Prime Minister's address is the talk about terrorism, the talk about the Gaza peace plan. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated time and again that India supports the Gaza peace plan, and peace and dialogue is the only way forward in this kind of a geopolitical scenario. Let me in fact rope in Ambassador Shankar Gupta on this, because he also mentioned the talk about terrorism being something that has to gain importance when two leaders like this actually meet. And we are seeing India put out a very strong stance. But so when we are looking at India, it is also trying to balance its ties with the Middle East when it is in fact interacting with Israel.
Yes, Shivani, you see, I have lived in that part of the world. I lived in Bahrain for some years, and I've traveled both to Israel and Palestine. So I can tell you that the entire GCC countries, they want peace and security. They do not want conflict, because they know it very well that economic development is not possible with conflict. And therefore they are completely against any kind of conflict in the Palestine also. In fact, most of these countries do not give shelter to any of the Palestinians who are extremists in their action. And you would realize that even Arab countries are refusing them. Even Egypt is not giving them any shelter. Even Jordan is not giving any shelter, particularly those who are aggressive or who are, basically terrorist type people. The only country which has been promoting them is to some extent Iran. Now, Iran is also now, I suppose they should understand that it is not in their interest. They are already suffering under the global sanctions. Their economy is very weak. There are internal demonstrations against the regime. And there are all kinds of, issues which have been raised against Iran, particularly by the world community and even by the UN. So they should now understand that they should not help these terrorist organizations anymore, because it is firstly draining their resources away. Secondly, they are only creating conflict, and that is the one of the reasons why the GCC countries and Iran, they do not get along well. So this is one thing which is becoming very, very clear. I think Iran sooner or later should understand this. Now we have good contact with Iran. Also, our relations are stable. We have Chabahar port, which we have developed, and we want to have access through that port to the Central Asian countries. So that is another, important factor. We also have energy trade with Iran, but it has diminished after the sanctions imposed on them. But we also would not like Iran to, acquire clandestinely the nuclear armament and very, very long range missiles, because that will destabilize the entire region. If they obtain those, then obviously Saudi Arabia will also like to have nuclear weapons and those kind of missiles. So that is not in the regional interest, that is not in the global interest, and not in our interest. So this is one dialogue where I think PM, I'm sure, will take up this issue, that with Iran we should talk properly, and we should make them understand that these are the constraints, and they should, come down on these issues and reach a diplomatic agreement with Israel as well as with USA. So these are the issues which impact the global, balance and regional balance. And India is the only country which has good relations with all these actors in the region, and therefore India can play a very, very important role in, taking this dialogue forward without any conflict or without any war. Because as of today, I can tell you the swords are right up, because Iran and US are both piled up huge forces in the Persian Gulf. I don't think 3 aircraft carriers have been there in the past ever. Now, 3 big aircraft carriers with a big armada of frigates and, submarines and all those kinds of systems is very, very dangerous for global stability and regional stability, not good for us. So I'm sure PM would like to emphasize on this issue, because this is also not in the interest of Israel. Now in Gaza, the sufferings happened because of the Hamas, misadventure. What they did in October 2023 now, 22, 23, I don't remember the exact year, but it was more than 2 years ago, that this kind of misadventure, they took place, they took, a lot of Israelis as hostages, and many of them were killed. Naturally, this resulted in a very brazen war there. As a result, more than 50,000 people have been killed. A lot of them have been rendered homeless. Obviously, the peace in the region can come only after, rehabilitation in that area. And that is why India is fully supporting the Board of Peace and its action in the region. And I think, in my view, the India should join as a full member at the Board of Peace. We participated as observer in the meeting in Washington a few days ago, but I think, in my view, we should join as a full member, so that we can shape the dialogue.
Right.
We can also shape the initiatives from within, rather than merely being an observer. And so I feel that all these initiatives by India will stabilize the region, will contribute to the prosperity, and of course will contribute to our own security, our strategic interest, and our economic well-being, leading to Atmanirbhar Bharat and a developed Bharat by 2047. Over to you,
Absolutely,
Shivani.
absolutely. I thank you, Ambassador Gupta and General Kumar, for joining us on the broadcast with those